Oh my God, I never thought that I would watch a show and be like, okay, this show has the possibility to be better than Breaking Bad, but I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. This show has the potential, and it hasn't finished yet. The show has not finished yet, but when the show does finish, it really has a strong possibility of being better than Breaking Bad. So this is really no secret, but Breaking Bad is one of my favorite shows of all time. I think Breaking Bad is just an incredible piece of cinematography. I do think Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad in terms of cinematography. In terms of action, I think it's like undisputed that Breaking Bad is better. Breaking Bad just has so much more action than Better Call Saul does. But Better Call Saul, in terms of filmmaking and colors and lines and cinematography in general, filmmaking, it is just better than Breaking Bad, right? I think Severance honestly has the best of both worlds between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The cinematography in Severance is just incredible. I could really talk about this show for a really long time. There is nothing in Severance that is said for no reason. Like, they don't say anything in Severance for absolutely no reason. They always say something with a purpose, right? And you don't even understand this when you first watch the first couple of episodes in the first season. And I stopped everything to watch this show, okay? I was watching Righteous Gemstones, White Lotus, and Solo Leveling. I heard everybody going crazy about Severance, how Severance is just incredible, how Severance is amazing. I was like, okay, I'll try to watch Severance. I'll watch it, dude. So I watched Severance, and I was so hooked on it. I never stopped watching it. I didn't watch anything else. I only watched Severance until I couldn't anymore, until I watched all the first 9 episodes of season 1 and all the 10 episodes of season 2. I literally just watched that show, and it is honestly incredible. But I was saying, you don't really understand this when you first watch it. The first couple of episodes, they do stuff, and they show things, and the characters say certain things that you don't really understand, really, until later in the show, and then you go back and you're like, oh my God, I remember this part in the show. I remember this part. I remember this part with this character. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. And that's part of what makes the show so good, because they don't do anything in the show for no reason. If you hear a line when you're watching Severance and you're like, what's the point of this line? Just wait, bro. Just wait. So let me step back for a moment and tell you what the show is even about, because if you've never heard of it before, I would honestly be surprised if you've never heard of it before. But if somehow you just never have, Severance is a show where basically, I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but Severance is basically a show where people get severed, and what severed means is that they don't remember what happens when they go to work, and they don't remember what happens when they leave work. So they essentially have 2 different personalities, right? So they get severed, they get a chip put in their brain, and when they go down an elevator to get to work, and once they go down that elevator, that chip activates, and their work body now. And now that work person goes to work, and that work person knows nothing but work. And then when that work person goes up the elevator, the chip activates again, and then they switch, and now they only know, what's outside of work. And so people do this for a multitude of different reasons. Some people do it to cope with the loss of a loved one. Just think of any reason you can for why somebody would ever want to forget their outside life and to keep that other person, the other person, even though it's them, they're down they're down working, right? And it's just crazy. Like, it could be alcoholism, it could be losing a loved one, it could just be, you're just a failure in the above world. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why somebody would want to do it. And it's so cool because they play with these 2 different, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they play with these 2 different, they're not 2 different people, but they play with them as if they're 2 different people, because this version of the person only knows work, this version of the person only knows what's up, and it's just, honestly, it's an amazing show. I have seen some people dislike the fact that the show, basically every episode, and there are some episodes, there's actually one episode that I think is fairly mid. I don't think there's a single bad episode in Severance. Like, there's no episode that I think is bad, but there is an episode in season 2 that involves someone. I'm not going to say who, because you may think that, like, at the beginning of the first season, you may think maybe this person dies, and then if I tell you who the episode is about, maybe then you'll be like, oh, well, this person never dies. So I'm not going to say who it is, but there's an episode about somebody entirely on this person, and I do think that episode is like, meh. Like, I just do think it's a meh episode. I don't think it's a bad episode. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's a single bad episode in the whole show, but that episode is meh. And one thing that I've seen people not like about Severance is how Severance, a lot of the time, ends on a cliffhanger every episode. That's good. I don't know how you can be like, you know what's really bad about this show? They always end making me want more. What? How is that bad? But I've seen people complain about that as if that's like a bad thing. This show, every episode ends on a cliffhanger. That's good. What? A show should keep the audience engaged and wanting more. Severance does that. So I just don't understand why that's a complaint. I feel like that's a great thing. If the show always ends on a cliffhanger, then you're always wanting more. I mean, it just shows how good the show is. Really, the only con that I can think of is that one episode in season 2 that I don't like. And it's just a meh episode. Like, I seriously don't know how you can watch Severance and be like, I don't really like this show. Like, for me, some of my top 10 shows that I've ever seen in my life are like Breaking Bad. And I don't know what order I would put these, right? But top 10 shows that I've ever seen, it's like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Dexter. 100% Dexter's crazy. And I really do think Severance is going to be in this list of top 10. I don't even know if I have a top 10 shows of all time that I really like, but Severance is, if it keeps up this way that it's on right now, and if it stays this way to the very end, it may be the best show I've ever seen in my entire life. And I know that's a crazy thing to say because I've seen Breaking Bad and I know people go crazy over Breaking Bad. I think Severance is really hyped right now, but I think, like, what did it take? 10 years for people to really understand how great Breaking Bad was? I think Severance will be kind of a similar situation where people know it's good now, but they won't understand really how good it is until 10 years down the line, bro. Until everything's finished, until people see everything for what it is, until people go back and they understand references that were made in season 1 that they make again in, you know, this season or this season, that they talk about this. It's such an amazing show. You know, I've gone and I've seen some of the behind the scenes about how the show is filmed, how they do certain things, and the camera work and the thought process behind everything is just so amazing, and it really gives me an appreciation for filmmaking. I do want to talk about some of my favorite episodes, and again, I'm not going to spoil what they are, but if you start to watch Severance, some of my favorite episodes in the entire time I've watched it. Season 1, episodes 7, 8, and 9. 9 is obviously the season finale for season 1, and those 3 episodes are just absolutely insane. I'm not going to say what makes them insane. If you watch the show, you know what makes them so good, but those 3 episodes are just so incredible. Those are definitely some of my favorites. The season 2 finale, by the way, I want to talk about that for a minute. I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't a finale that really felt too much like a cliffhanger. Like, damn it! God damn it. Like, the season 1 finale, I would be so upset having to wait 3 years after that. They had to wait 3 years between season 1 and 2. Now, they're saying they're not going to wait that long between season 2 and 3, and they are making a 3. But I would be so mad. Now, I watched the season 2 finale, and, you know, I'm going to be honest, if I'm not upset. I'm not upset by that ending at all. Some people are upset by that ending, but I'm trying not to spoil, you know, but that ending on season 2 is really the only way, kind of, there could be a season 3, at least set up to be a good season 3. And I also love seeing the fan theories about what's going on in the show and where they're going to take it from here. It's so cool. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about how absolutely incredible this show is. Like, oh my god, I really cannot believe that this show is so good. I knew people were talking about it, and I know I would probably like it because other people liked it, but I never thought I would like it this much, and I never thought I would think this show is better than Breaking Bad. I never would have thought that upon first starting it, but I really do believe if they continue this whole way through however many seasons they're going to do, if it stays on this route, there is a very good conversation that could be had that Severance is better than Breaking Bad. So I wanted to talk about Severance for a minute. Just absolutely incredible show. And yeah, that's it.